are here for you today, and we really love to hear from you. Any thoughts you have about how the Limehouse is now, interesting things about its history, and also any thoughts you have for how it might go forward, and particularly with the idea that if it is a shared asset, what the people can do. We're really interested in the creativity of people in relation to place identity. So what makes this place special for you?
And then they ring their bells sort of about 2 meters away, and then you suddenly get frightened and you don't know whether to go left or right, jump into the river, or what to do. So I just think they've really got to be controlled.
Okay.
That's one of my, and I remember it, but the other things I remember, it was rather dark, and access points were very, very few. You know, you'd go a long way without seeing somewhere to get on or off, and I don't know why these developers were allowed to do this development without having access to the canal. They struck it as farming. But I would say, so I'd say those are the things that thoughts that occur to me. One is making it the towpath wider, or slowing down the cycles on both. Access to the from the housing, and also a bit of colour. So it's rather dark and damp and gloomy looking. So I'd like to see a bit more.
I think what we're doing at the moment is we're capturing the physical information, and we're very interested in the idea of spaces that perhaps aren't fully utilised or fully visible. So in a sense we're capturing those ideas and wanting to see whether, by talking to people and thinking about community place and creativity, whether there are lots of opportunities that perhaps aren't yet realised. So we have a light touch. We're really wanting to gather your stories and your thoughts. We don't have funding to implement anything, but we want to see, by locating people and real experience within place, what that might produce in terms of creative use and creativity.
Green is paramount, and there's plenty of drab sort of thing. So drab environment. So the green lifted us nowhere else. Yeah. And not something really elaborate or anything ornamental. Only something that grows anyway. It's just that it's controlled better and it's planted in.
I mean, even make a little drawing if you like. This is all good. This is all good.
Yeah, it's very interesting as we come down here, and then we see the trees ahead, particularly now,
so
with their
beautiful.
colours. And the whole...
And all of a sudden it lifts up.
Yeah.
I don't have a mooring, so every 2 weeks I move my boat to a new location in London. So at the moment I'm in King's Cross. Last week I was in Camden. A couple of weeks before that I was in Little Venice in Paddington. Next week I might be in Islington. I just keep moving all around London. So as long as I, every 2 weeks, kind of move on. I can't keep going back between 2 spaces, but as long as I kind of make a journey across London and back again, then I can live like that the whole year. But to be honest, sometimes I go out of London anyway, so you know, it's a kind of a chance to go out on the Thames, or I've gone up to Oxford before. I've actually, the boat I'm on now, we brought down from Lancashire, so we brought it down. The Birmingham Canal, the locks are too narrow to take a wider boat through, so we had to have it put on a lorry and then craned into the water, and then we brought it down kind of from Milton Keynes area.
Down there and coloured concrete, there's no reason why it should be this colour. It's a really boring colour. It's very, very simple to make coloured concrete, to add a colour in it. And similarly with the sheet piling, it's not something which is normally done, the sheet piling, which are the vertical bits of steel that go into the water to hold the banks up. But there's no reason why it shouldn't be, and you might well be able to get someone like Tartan Steel or somebody else to invest in that.
I like walking along that. You just have a different atmosphere. You could be on the road and it's busy and dirty and noisy. And you just come down here, and I know this is noisy. Walking along the towpaths, it's just lovely. And this is why I think we're getting a resurgence, what you're saying, as a recreation activity, people walking this is really sad to come here and see that there's hardly anyone in most shops. And I'd like to see what it's like on a Saturday or a Sunday. To see if there's a lot more
Limehouse just on the Regent's Canal near the marina. And yeah, we've been living in Limehouse for about 3 years, and I really like the area a lot. At first I was kind of a bit sort of freaked out by it, I think. I just couldn't see where everybody was. Like the streets felt really empty, but now I've kind of really grown to like it, and yeah, I'm really interested in what's happening and how it's developing. So one of the things I have like lots of ideas that I'd love to have a Limehouse food market just where Moo Canoes are, because it's a really big space there that feels like it should be something. And I'd love to have, I produce creative projects as well, so I've run a few festivals, and it would be amazing to have a festival on all the carpets, sort of those film festivals mainly, but they can be different kinds of things. But yeah, it's generally
that the mountain is looking in, but maybe I don't know, people are focusing out rather than in. It's not like it is not an asset only, it's a bit of a drawback having this canal. And you know, like with some cities looking into the river, like London does look into the river. The Thames is an asset. Another cities I know, like in Poland, there are lots of lovely rivers, but the actually buildings and the city it does not look into the river and explore the river not only as a form of communication, a form of pleasure, leisure, for exercise, and that this is actually a natural resource for these things that is not being exercised.
Have you looked at the logo of the canals? Because the Olympics has actually blown all this out of the water, really, hasn't it? You know, everyone wants to live near the Olympics, so to live along the canal. Is it? I haven't seen it myself, but I don't want it just to be, as one of you ladies said, just to be these, you know, modern blocks of flats where they can get £500,000 for a flat.
That's what it's going to be, though. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be like this. It will be. There's nothing you can do about it.
All the oldie worldy stuff and you know, the art and stuff of it. But that should be written into the plan. It's what people want.
Well, it kind of is, but it just means you can deflect it. I mean, there is supposed to be protections and things over those. But when it comes to it, like you said, somebody else will come along and do something else, and then it'll have a knock-on effect, and everything will change. And they changed the planning laws last year, so they changed so you could have a say office buildings or something like that to change them into residential apartments without having to apply for planning permission anymore.
I know.
So you know they
they're doing reverse now. They offices. They build it up, but inside the office they only anticipate it turning to flats.
Yeah.
So what they do, they build it up, maybe 6 months later, sorry, there's no space needed, they turn it back. Then they don't need a flat.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
You know when I was at council about 10-15 years ago, you know how the developers got away with it? It's called live work.
Yeah.
And it was a shame. There weren't no live work. Yeah, they said that I had a little business like you, be an architect. I want to work where I live. And I can tell you, there's a building along here. It's called Coleman's Wharf. It used to be a dog biscuit factory. It's famous. Francis dog biscuit factory. It's very famous. You know, dog food producers went back 100 years. It was their main factory. Anyway, they got that changed into live work. And within a year, there was no work in it. It was just live. It was just completely live. And you know when they do that live work, they don't have to give no social housing. So all the poor people around here, and you know now that they are 25% social housing, 35%. These live work, they built them and sold them for a top dollar. And none of the local people, chance of having a flat.
But it's obviously problem is it starts at very basic levels, is who's in power and who's doing everything. And then, you know, who's designing it, what kind of people are designing it, you know, who's in that forum. So there's a huge knock-on effect, you know, you have to have in order to have multicultural,
the knock-on effect that I've seen in my lifetime, all our kids have to move miles and miles away from where they're not born and bred and where they like to stay with their families.
The Limehouse Cup project has really helped us develop our thinking around how creativity and the creative industries and creative processes can really help people reshape the way they see places and input into our work on regeneration and the reimagining of difficult urban spaces.
And what's been the value of working with Kingston University?
So the value of working with Kingston to us has been huge. It's given us a whole new level of, they've provided a whole level of skills that we just don't have around imaging and visualization of things. It's given us an insight into the architectural and landscape architecture process and way of looking at different, way of looking at places in a different way. And it's also been a hugely valuable in terms of partnership working and collaboration with a different organisation.
Okay. And what would be the benefit to kind of shared assets in the longer term, do you think?
I think the long-term benefit for us will be around having a whole new string to our bow in terms of being able to talk really intelligently about creativity and the role of creative industries and places. It's given us a set of beautiful resources and products that we can now use to approach other people with and show what we can do, and it's given us I think a really robust methodology which we've developed alongside Kingston in terms of how you engage people in difficult.
My name is Patricia Brown, Associate Professor of Landscape Architecture and Landscape and Urbanism at Kingston University, London.
And you've been working with shared assets, London-based small, medium-sized enterprise, on the Limehouse Cut. Can you just explain what some of the benefits have been to Landscape Interface Studio in doing that?
I think there have been a number of benefits of working with shared assets, particularly in sharing different perspectives on the project, and shared assets bring a very particular interest in the idea of waterways as creative commons, and this is something that entirely aligns with our own interests, but which is informed by their special knowledge of the idea of commons in the 21st century.
So the research that's come out of this project, what's been the benefits? What do you see are the main advantages of that? And how do you see yourself moving forward and using this research?
The benefits are the focus, and there's been a particular focus on a very extraordinary stretch of London waterways. The first canal in London, and it is a measurable stretch of waterway that has largely been forgotten, and I think what we have done is to reveal both the physical capacity and also potential futures of this almost invisible piece of existing infrastructure that's also historic and has traces of the past.
So are you now interested in moving this project forward and trying to secure further funding from the Arts and Humanities Research Council?
We're definitely working with this as an idea. It seems really important. We've developed a prototype, we've developed methodologies, and with the sharing of the knowledge and expertise and networks between both the Landscape Interface Studio at Kingston University and shared assets, we have the potential to make this a scalable exercise which can bring new knowledge in relation to both existing infrastructures and their future potentials.